Making the decision to have a child, it is momentous. It is to decide forever to have your heart go walking around outside your body. Elizabeth Stone. It's tricky. The Buddhist religion teaches that after Buddha attained enlightenment, he laid down his teachings in the form of the Four Noble Truths. 1. Suffering exists. 2. Suffering arises from attachment to desires. 3. Suffering ceases when attachment to desire ceases. And 4. Freedom from suffering is possible by practicing the Eightfold Path discussed further in Buddha's teachings. Number 2 makes perfect sense, doesn't it? If we are attached to a particular outcome and it does not happen, we will suffer. Herein lies one of the most difficult conundrums of parenting. Is it really possible not to be attached to our children, or to our desire for them to have joyful lives filled with good health and abundance? We may find levels of acceptance for other circumstances in our lives. Our career doesn't turn out as we expected, or we never earned the money to buy our dream home. These things we can adjust to. But clearly, when it comes to our precious children, non-attachment is extremely challenging. I remember once I was going through a difficult time with my older daughter. I was at a party with a well-respected Buddhist teacher who has 2 adult children. During our conversation, I asked him about non-attachment. How can you not be attached to your children and what happens in their lives? He responded, I try to give them their freedom and recognize they have their own paths in life. I hope they make good decisions. And then he paused and smiled at me and said, It's very tricky, isn't it? Tricky is one word for it. I believe that it is possible for some parents to find acceptance and internal freedom from suffering on this journey. But the need for our children to be okay is in the very fiber of our being as parents. What could be trickier? If we look a little closer at this idea of attachment and parenting, we find a lot of our daily discomfort as parents doesn't actually come from attachment itself, but instead from our fear of the unknown and our discomfort with uncertainty. Sometimes we are so busy projecting that things are bad and will never change, or that the future will not work out for our children, that we are creating suffering in our minds manufactured by our fear. Sure, we want our children to flourish, but the fear that they won't or that things won't work out in their future consumes much of our day-to-day inner dialogue. To manage this fear, we search for certainty whenever we can to make ourselves feel better about our children's futures. We start to believe that if they make the sports team, get into a particular college, eat certain foods, or have a particular group of friends, everything is going in the right direction.